Hello, everyone. Okay, so I need to tell you something that just happened. I was sitting here just existing, you know, and I got chills, like actual chills running through my whole body because I suddenly saw something about how fast things can shift inside a person. And I need you to stay with me on this because if you're hearing this right now, there's a reason. Okay, so you know that feeling? That moment when something just shifts inside you. And it's not gradual, it's not slow. It's like, wait, everything feels different now. I got chills just thinking about it. It's this thing that happens sometimes where you wake up one day and something in you has rearranged itself. You know what I mean? Like all the pieces were there before, all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the stuff you've been carrying. But overnight, literally overnight, sometimes they fall into a different pattern. Does that make sense to you? It's not that your external life changed. Your job is the same, your apartment is the same, the people around you are the same, but you're seeing it all differently now. And it can feel disorienting because you're like, wait, I was one way yesterday and now I'm not that anymore. There's this phenomenon, right? Where your internal world shifts so dramatically that it feels like your whole life changed, even though technically nothing external moved. Have you experienced that? Um, and what's wild about it is how sudden it can feel. Like you've been building towards something for months, maybe years, processing things, working through things, trying to understand things. And then one night you go to sleep, and when you wake up, it's like your brain reorganized everything while you weren't looking. The thoughts that used to loop don't loop anymore. The fears that used to grip you, they're still there, maybe, but they don't have the same power. The people you used to need validation from, suddenly you're just okay without it. It's strange. Strange in a way that can feel both liberating and terrifying at the same time. Because part of you is like, yes, finally, this is what I've been waiting for. This clarity, this shift, this feeling of being more aligned with who I actually am. But another part of you is like, wait, if I can change this much overnight, what does that mean? Am I stable? Can I trust this? Or is this just another phase that's going to shift again tomorrow? Tell me in the comments if this feels familiar. And I think what happens in these moments is it's like your subconscious has been working on something, processing something, integrating something, and you weren't fully aware of how much work was happening under the surface. You were just living your life, going through your days, dealing with your stuff. And meanwhile, underneath all of that, something was cooking. Something was preparing to shift. And then it does. It just does. And suddenly you're looking at your life through completely different eyes. The relationship that felt complicated, you see it clearly now. The job that felt necessary, you realize it's not serving you. The pattern you kept repeating, you can see exactly why you were doing it and exactly why you don't need to anymore. It's like, okay, it's like when you've been trying to solve a puzzle for so long, staring at the same pieces, moving them around, getting frustrated, and then you step away, you sleep, and when you come back, the solution is obvious. It was always there, but you couldn't see it until something in you shifted, you know? And what's interesting is how much this can feel like your entire life changed. Even though if someone was watching you from the outside, they might not notice anything different. You still look the same, you still do the same things, you still show up in the same places, but inside you're completely rearranged. The priorities have shifted. The values have crystallized. The tolerance for certain behaviors, certain situations, certain compromises, it's just gone. Not because you're forcing it to be gone, but because something in you fundamentally changed its position. Does that make sense to you? And I think these overnight shifts, they're not actually overnight. That's the thing. They feel sudden because the awareness is sudden. But the actual change, that's been building. That's been happening in tiny increments, in moments you didn't even notice, in experiences you've been integrating without realizing it. And then one day, boom, you're aware of it. You're conscious of the shift that's already happened. And it can feel like whiplash. Like, who am I now? How do I navigate from this new place? What do I do with this clarity, this new perspective, this completely different felt sense of who I am and what I want? Because it's one thing to slowly evolve. It's another thing to wake up and feel like you're a different version of yourself. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're in that disorienting space of recognizing that something fundamental has shifted in you, that the way you were relating to your life yesterday, you can't do it that way anymore. Not because you're forcing change, but because the change already happened, and now you're just catching up to it. Have you noticed that too? There's this recalibration that has to happen, where you're like, okay, if this is who I am now, if this is how I see things now, what stays? What goes? What needs to shift in my external world to match this internal transformation? And that can feel overwhelming because suddenly decisions that seemed impossible before, they're clear now. Boundaries that seemed too hard to set, they're non-negotiable now. Relationships that you were holding on to, you can see exactly what they are and exactly what they're not. It's like your tolerance for bullshit just evaporated overnight. And you might be wondering, is this real? Is this going to last? Or am I going to wake up tomorrow and go back to how I was before? And I don't know. I don't know if these shifts are permanent or if they're part of a larger cycle of growth and integration. But what I do know is that when they happen, when you're in the middle of one, they feel absolutely real. They feel like the most true thing you've experienced in a long time. Like you've been living slightly out of alignment and suddenly click. Everything locks into place. And from that place, your whole life can look different. Not because anything external changed, but because you changed. Your relationship to it all changed. The job is still the job, but you're not desperate for it anymore. The person is still the person, but you're not waiting for them to validate you anymore. The fear is still the fear, but it's not running your decisions anymore, you know? And I think what's happening when people experience these overnight shifts, it's like your nervous system finally feels safe enough to let go of something, to release a pattern, to stop bracing against something that maybe isn't even a threat anymore. And when that happens, when your body and your mind finally agree that it's okay to be different now, everything can reorganize incredibly quickly. It's not magic. It's not mystical. It's just how transformation works sometimes. Slowly, 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 and then all at once. And if you're in one of those all at once moments right now, it can feel intense. It can feel like too much. It can feel like you don't know how to be this version of yourself yet. But you do. You do know. Because this version of you isn't new. It's just finally allowed to be seen. Finally allowed to take up space. Finally allowed to make decisions from a place of clarity instead of fear. And that changes everything. Not your circumstances necessarily. Not overnight anyway. But your relationship to your circumstances, that can shift completely. And from that shifted place, who knows what becomes possible? I don't, you don't, nobody knows, but you get to find out. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.